Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today we're going to be looking at something you wrote about personal responsibility and how that all ties into success.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff, right?
Yeah, and you made some really interesting points.
Thanks.
Like how that whole blame game can actually hold you back
Yeah.
from achieving the things you want.
Uh-huh.
So basically what you're saying is that
Well,
instead of blaming
right.
like outside forces for the reasons you aren't succeeding,
Yeah.
you should instead be looking inward,
Exactly.
taking responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up
Oh, yeah.
in blaming the economy or whatever.
Right.
Or, societal expectations.
Yeah.
But
It's easy to play the victim.
it is, but
yeah.
it's not productive.
Exactly.
And actually, you gave some really good examples in your writing
Oh, thanks.
of, how that can actually make you feel powerless
Yeah.
and keep you from moving forward.
Like what kinds of things?
When people say things like, oh, I can't get a good job because the economy's terrible. Or, I'm not successful because I didn't come from a wealthy family.
Right.
That kind of thing.
But what you're saying is that even if those things are true,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you can't be successful.
Exactly.
So how do we break free from that?
It's about taking responsibility.
Okay, but what does that actually look like?
It's about recognizing that you have control over your own actions and your own choices.
Okay, so instead of saying, I can't get a good job because the economy's terrible,
Right.
you'd say,
I need to figure out what skills are in demand and how I can acquire them.
I see.
Or maybe I need to network more or start my own business.
So it's about focusing on what you can control, not on what you can't.
Right.
And that can actually be really empowering
It is.
because it gives you back a sense of agency.
Yeah, like you're the captain of your own ship.
I love
You're not just being tossed around by the waves.
Right, you're charting your own course.
Exactly.
And I think that ties in really nicely with this idea of resilience, which you also talked about, that ability to bounce back from setbacks.
It's essential for success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so how do you think personal responsibility plays into that?
Well, when you take responsibility for your own life, you're more likely to be proactive.
Right.
You're not just going to sit around and wait for things to happen.
You're going to make things happen.
Exactly. You're going to take action. You're going to solve problems.
And that's how you build resilience.
Right, because you're constantly learning and growing from your experiences.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Sure.
What about failure? Because a lot of people are really afraid of failing.
Yeah, I get that.
But you seem to be saying that failure can actually be a good thing.
It can be if you approach it the right way.
Okay, how so?
By taking responsibility for it.
What do you mean?
Instead of blaming your failure on external factors, ask yourself what you could have done differently.
I see.
What lessons you can learn from the experience.
So it's about turning that failure into a learning opportunity.
Exactly.
And then using that knowledge to do better next time.
Right, and that's how you grow. And that's how you ultimately succeed.
So it sounds like you're saying that personal responsibility is really the key.
It's a big part of it, for sure.
To achieving success in all areas of life, whether it's your career, your relationships, or your personal growth.
It all starts with taking ownership.
This is all so fascinating.
I know, right?
And I think it's something that everyone can benefit from.
I know, right?
So I'm really excited to dive deeper into this with you
Let's do
and explore some more specific examples.
Let's do it. Okay, so where were we?
We were talking about, how taking responsibility
Right.
can really help you achieve success.
Yeah.
And how that applies to all these different areas of life.
Exactly.
And you mentioned careers. So I thought maybe we could start there.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of people struggle with feeling like they don't have control over their careers.
It's easy to feel that way.
Yeah. Like you're just stuck in this dead-end job and there's no way out.
Yeah. Or that, your success is all dependent on factors outside of your control.
Like the job market or whatever.
Exactly.
So how do we shift that mindset?
Well, it starts with taking responsibility.
Okay, but what does that actually mean?
In terms of your career,
Yeah.
it means recognizing that you have choices,
Okay.
even if those choices feel limited.
So instead of saying, I can't find a good job because the economy sucks.
You could say,
Okay.
what skills can I develop to make myself more marketable?
I see.
Or, what kind of networking can I do to connect with people in my field?
So it's about being proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly.
And I think that same principle can apply to relationships too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's so easy to blame our partners.
It is.
Or our friends or our family for,
Right.
why we're not happy.
But ultimately,
Yeah.
we're responsible for our own happiness.
Right.
And for the choices we make in our relationships.
So how do we take responsibility in that context?
It starts with looking inward
Okay.
instead of outward.
What do you mean?
Instead of blaming your partner
Uh-huh.
for your unhappiness,
Right.
ask yourself what you could be doing differently.
To improve the relationship.
Exactly.
And that could be anything
It could be.
from,
Yeah.
communicating more effectively
Right.
to setting healthier boundaries
Mm-hmm.
to just being more present.
Yeah. It's about showing up
Yeah.
as the best version of yourself.
I love that.
And that can have a ripple effect on the other person.
So it's not just about
Right.
fixing yourself.
It's about improving the relationship as a whole.
Exactly.
And then there's personal growth,
Oh, yeah.
which is another area where personal responsibility is crucial.
Because you can't really grow
No.
if you're not willing
Right.
to take ownership.
Of your own development.
Exactly. So what does that look like?
It means setting goals for yourself
Okay.
and then taking action to achieve those goals.
And that could be anything
It could be.
from, learning a new skill
Right.
to breaking a bad habit to just becoming a more well-rounded person.
Yeah. It's about constantly striving
Mm-hmm.
to improve yourself.
But it all starts
It does.
with taking responsibility.
to your own growth.
I love that.
Me too.
And it's so empowering
It is.
because it means that you're not just,
Yeah.
a victim of circumstance.
You have the power to change. Exactly.
You have the power to create the life you want.
Yeah. And that's really what it's all about.
This is all so inspiring.
I know, right?
I feel like we could talk about this all day.
Me too.
But I think we need to move on to some of the other points you made.
Sure.
Because I'm really curious to
Yeah.
hear your thoughts on
Okay.
like accountability and that kind of stuff.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is amazing to think about, right?
Yeah, like if everyone just took a little bit more responsibility
Right.
for their own lives and their own actions,
Yeah.
imagine how much better the world would be.
It's kind of like that butterfly effect,
Uh-huh.
Like one small change
Right.
can have a ripple effect.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about.
It really is. And, it's funny you should mention that
What?
because there's actually this really thought-provoking question
Okay.
that you pose in your writing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, if you were to completely stop blaming external factors
Mhm.
for your setbacks, what would change about your approach to achieving your goals?
That's a good one.
Right. It really makes you think.
It does, because when you stop blaming other things,
Yeah.
you start to realize that you have more power
Hmm.
than you thought you did.
It's like you're taking back control.
Exactly.
And that can be really scary,
It can be.
but it can also be really exciting.
It definitely can, because it means that you're not just at the mercy of fate.
You're the one calling the shots.
Yeah, you're the author of your own story.
And that's a really powerful feeling.
It is. It's incredibly empowering.
So I guess what we're saying is that personal responsibility is really
It's essential.
the key to living a fulfilling and meaningful life.
I believe that wholeheartedly.
Me too. And I think it's something that we all need to be reminded of.
Especially in today's world.
Yeah, because it's so easy to get caught up
It is.
in blaming other people or other things for our own problems,
But ultimately,
Right.
we're the ones responsible.
for our own happiness and our own success.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, hey, listen, it's been great chatting with you,
Likewise.
and I really appreciate you taking the time
Anytime.
to share your insights on personal responsibility.
My pleasure.
And I hope our listeners got as much out of this as I did.
Me too.
I think it's a really important topic
It is.
and one that we all need to be thinking about.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
keep taking responsibility for your own lives.
And keep striving to be the best versions of yourselves.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.